Welcome back to Motive for Money. Today, we're diving into part 2 of our series on everyday scams you probably didn't know about. Inspired by responses on TikTok, we're tackling 7 more eye-opening topics that challenge the status quo. In this video, we'll be exploring the truths behind marriage, kids, DNA tests, medical insurance, adjunct professor pay, nonprofit organizations, and the hair care industry. These are areas where many of us might not realize we're being influenced by hidden agendas and societal norms. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video if you find these insights as surprising as I did. Let's jump right in and uncover these hidden truths.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
Marriage is a scam. And I'm going to tell you what I mean in a minute. Marriage is a scam because for most people, when you get married, you do not have a clue what you're actually getting yourself into. We're not prepared well enough for when we get married. I know I certainly wasn't given any information. I wasn't told what to expect. I was given like a 30-minute lecture after I was married by my parents. Too late, obviously. But in general, women just are not prepared. They're not prepared enough for what marriage is really like. And maybe there's a good reason for that. Maybe if you told people what marriage was like, they wouldn't want to do it. But what is scary about this is that women who are never married and who don't have a long-term relationship are somehow viewed as broken. They are made to feel like there's something wrong with them, like they've been rejected by the world. And they're given names like spinster. Spinster is a specific word designed for older women who have never been married. Can you imagine there's even a specific word? They're talked about in hushed voices. Oh, she never got married. Yeah, oh, poor thing. They're looked at with pity. People use sentences like, they've been left on the shelf. As if there's something wrong with, not marrying or not having a long-term relation. There's nothing wrong with it. And the important thing, this is really for the single women who feel, this age, I've never been married. All my friends are married. They have kids, blah, blah, blah. All of those thoughts. Because I know a lot of single women go through that. It's for you to understand something. Marriage is not the be-all and end-all. You don't have to be married to be happy. And the truth about it is that if you have an issue with yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you have self-worth issues, self-esteem issues, marriage is not going to fix that. Marriage will not fix that. And in fact, married to the wrong person is going to make that worse. Remember, there are a lot of marriages that are like prison. They're a prison cell. People want to get out, but they can't. They can't get out because finances, because they've got kids, because they've got to think about so many complicated issues. People are trapped in loveless marriages, in marriages that are dysfunctional, toxic, abusive. And I know it's human nature for us to want what we don't have. But I think it's important, if you're single, to understand that there's nothing wrong with you just because you're not married. And actually, you are independent and you can live life on your own terms. So instead of focusing on what you don't have, which is what we tend to do, focus on what you do have, which is independence, freedom, to live your life as you choose, to travel, to do whatever it is that you want to do. Marriage is not the be-all and end-all. It's just one way of living. You don't have to live in the same way as everybody else.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
Kids. Yeah, have kids, they said. It'd be fun, they said. Who the fuck said that? Who? Where are you? I love my kids, I do. But sometimes fuck these kids. Especially during summer break. That is all. Have a great fucking day.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
DNA test. Because, surprise, there is no such thing as an Asian gene. There's no native gene. There's no African gene. 23andMe, Ancestry, they don't tell you about, what percentage ethnic group you are. It tells you about your particular sequence of A, C, G, T. Because that is what DNA is. The pie chart they give you is fractions of estimates. It's saying that your sequence has a percent estimate chance of representing a certain area because it shares enough similarities to other sequences that might be common in this area. And companies know this. Listen to how they word their commercials. Discover your shared ancestry. Celebrate your DNA family. Also, humans are genetically 99.999 the same. Also, these companies are selling you. Like, they take your data and sell it to universities. The FBI. I could buy your DNA information. Like, don't do it.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
The cost of medical equipment. My wheelchair, $10,000. Insurance doesn't cover everything. They should. My standing frame that I have to help me not lose bone density, $7,000. Insurance doesn't cover any of that. My power assist, $7,000. Insurance won't cover that. They won't cover any home accommodations. So they would cover parts of my wheelchair, but they wouldn't cover a ramp for me to get into my house. And I'm lucky enough that I have a family that can help me and help me afford this. But there are so many people that aren't, and it's a scam. Like, the fact that insurance doesn't actually cover things. I had to try 6 times, and I ended up still having to pay a bunch out of pocket to get medication that I need. And insurance is still fighting me that saying I don't need it, even though I do. My doctors all say I need it. It's just so messed up. And I could talk about this forever because it is so deeply angering.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
Adjunct professors. Let me explain. Despite having 6 figures in student loan debt, I made more money coaching youth soccer when I was an adjunct than I did teaching college. Despite having nearly the same expectations as full-time professors, they make less money, have 0 job security, no benefits, and yet our entire college and university system would collapse in on itself like a dying star if not for their collective labor. And here's the worst part. They're usually the best teachers at that university.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
The nonprofit industry. I'm a nonprofit executive director, and I feel like I'm just surrounded by organizations that don't want to see systems change because changing those systems would eliminate the need that they're pretending to try to eliminate themselves. So they can pull an audience of some of the wealthiest, most powerful people in our country and not speak any truth to them, and instead just tell these hopeless stories and talk about these backwards people that they've helped to make right without ever addressing the systems that creates these backwards people to begin with. And that's because the people that they're talking to, their donors, the people who write the big checks, benefit directly from these systems that are hurting the people that they pretend to serve. It's a self-congratulatory enabling industry that needs urgent change and needs people who care about issues beyond the ability to exploit the savior complex in other people.
It's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore.
Hair products are marketed to different members of the family. Let's talk about it. I see so many different people that are constantly purchasing so many products based off of this one here is my product, and this one here is a children's line, and this one is a men's line for the husband, or whatever the case may be. And honestly, there's not a huge difference. Your hair has no sex. Your hair does not know that it is a man, woman, child, whatever the case may be. Now, if your hair is dry, use something for moisture. If your hair is weak and needs protein, then you want to use something for strength. If it's a mix of the two, you want to use something that's restorative. But your hair doesn't know if it's a child. It doesn't know if it's a man or woman. That being said, if you find a child's line that works really well for your hair, use it. It's fine. But one caveat to this is men's hair care lines, because they're usually garbage. And honestly, they are trash. It's basically soap and men's fragrance.
The concept of marriage being a scam was a real eye-opener for me. The idea that you don't fully know what you're getting into until you're already in it makes sense. It's true that society often pressures people, especially women, into marriage, and those who choose not to get married are sometimes unfairly judged. The comparison of some marriages to prison cells is particularly striking. People often feel trapped due to financial or family obligations, which can make it difficult to leave even if they're unhappy. It's important to remember that you don't have to be married to be happy, and everyone's path to happiness is different. Being told to have kids as if it's the key to a fun and fulfilling life is another perspective that really hits home. While having kids can be incredibly rewarding, it's also a huge responsibility and can be incredibly stressful, especially during times like summer break. It's essential to acknowledge both the joys and the challenges of parenting and to understand that it's not the only path to fulfillment. DNA tests are fascinating yet controversial. The idea that there are no specific Asian genes or Native American genes challenges what many of us have been led to believe. These tests often provide probabilities rather than certainties about our ancestry, and the fact that our DNA information can be sold is a major concern. It's a reminder to be cautious about the personal information we share and how it might be used. Medical insurance being a scam is something I think many of us can relate to. The story of needing a $10,000 wheelchair and not having full coverage is heartbreaking. It's frustrating to see how many essential medical expenses are not covered by insurance, leaving people to struggle financially. The bureaucratic nightmare of trying multiple times to get necessary medication covered is a reality for too many. It's a stark reminder of how flawed our healthcare system can be. Hearing about the adjunct professor who makes more money coaching youth soccer than teaching college classes is both surprising and troubling. The fact that colleges and universities rely so heavily on the labor of adjuncts, who are often underpaid and overworked, is a serious issue. It highlights the need for systemic change in how we value and compensate educators. The nonprofit industry being described as a scam is a tough pill to swallow. The notion that these organizations sometimes don't want to see real systemic change because they benefit from the status quo is disheartening. It's important to critically evaluate where our donations are going and how effectively they're being used to create lasting change. Finally, the idea that hair care products are a scam based on gender marketing is something I hadn't really considered before. It's true that hair itself doesn't have a gender, and we should choose products based on our hair's needs rather than targeted marketing. Men's hair care products often being just soap with a different fragrance really drives home the point that we should look beyond the labels and focus on quality and suitability. These insights really made me think about how much of our lives are influenced by societal norms and marketing. What do you think? Do you agree with these points, or do you have other examples? Let me know in the comments below. Questioning the status quo is the first step towards change. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and visit motiveformoney.com for more thought-provoking content.